There's a brutal truth that no one dares to say out loud. Your team's fire is dying. Day by day, that raw hunger to push harder, to break barriers, to create something that lasts, it's fading. You see it everywhere. Founders trying to rally their troops, but hitting walls of exhaustion and doubt. Leaders spinning plates, desperate for a spark that refuses to catch. Investors watching momentum sputter and die, feeling powerless against the slow rot of complacency. It's maddening, right? Because every goal you set feels like a rope dragging you down, rather than pulling you forward. The bigger the target, the heavier the weight, and instead of unstoppable momentum, what you get is burnout, frustration, and a creeping sense of defeat. But here's what nobody tells you. Obsessing over goals alone is the poison. Goals are a placebo. Shiny targets that light a path but never ignite the fire inside your people for the long haul. If your culture breathes only goals and KPIs, it's no wonder momentum shatters like glass. Because humans don't run on targets. They run on meaning, on purpose, on a story they feel owns them, not just a checkbox they have to tick. What must happen is a seismic shift toward a culture so alive, so fiercely aligned on why, that momentum doesn't just survive, it becomes unbreakable. How? First, cast aside the illusion that the path is linear or that motivation is a switch. Momentum is messy, uneven, and fueled by a relentless collective pulse. You need a culture where every member is not just aligned on what to do, but electrified by why it matters. This means ripping apart old scripts where leaders force goals from the top like holy commandments. Instead, build a culture where every individual's fierce personal mission weaves tightly into the bigger picture. When leaders stop preaching and start listening deeply, when the culture is about crafting a shared narrative that explodes with purpose, that's when momentum charges forward, unrelenting. Next, obliterate the tired frameworks that celebrate output over growth. Momentum is not a speedometer of deliverables. It's a living ecosystem. Fuel it by investing ruthlessly in the becoming of people, mentally, emotionally, professionally. Create space for radical experimentation. Let failure be a raw, honored step, not a setback masked in corporate speak. When your culture embraces vulnerability and relentless learning, you give momentum roots that dig deep beneath impossible storms. And here's the weapon too few leaders wield: transparency with ironclad trust. Tear down every wall you have. Transparency about failures, struggles, even uncertainties. When your people see their leaders not as distant gods, but as fierce allies, the momentum morphs into a tidal wave. Human connection, raw, unfiltered, becomes the glue holding the machine racing forward, unstoppable. Finally, reject the complacency that creeps in at the edges of success. Momentum is a muscle. It gets weaker when you rest on laurels. Your culture must hunger for constant renewal, not applause for past wins. Inject ruthlessness against stagnation by implanting fierce but compassionate accountability. Encourage every member to own the rhythm of progress daily, not just quarterly. That's the difference between fleeting sparks and the roaring wildfire. Here, in the crucible of goal-driven cultures, momentum isn't just possible. It's inevitable if you get this right. Build a culture obsessed not with hit or miss goals, but with relentless purpose, fearless growth, brutal transparency, and relentless renewal. Demand these from yourself and your team every hour, every minute. That is how you shatter the illusion of limitation and craft a culture where momentum doesn't break. It breaks through. This isn't for the faint-hearted. It's for those who feel that burning tension inside, that refusal to settle, that rage against mediocrity. Lead with it, build with it, live with it. Because only through this furnace does unbreakable momentum emerge and change everything.